Welcome to another deep dive today. We're going to be talking about journaling and making it work for you.
Even if you're busy.
Yeah, even if you are super busy.
Absolutely.
So I'm really intrigued by this blog post we found. It's called 50 Everyday Journal Prompts. And it's from Lestallion. It's a
Okay.
company that obviously loves journals.
Yeah.
But what I think is really cool is they structured these prompts.
Yeah, and they're not just,
Right?
random ideas that you could journal about. They're really nicely structured.
Yeah.
So it's morning, midday, evening.
Okay.
Then you move into self-awareness and growth. And finally, looking ahead.
I see.
It's almost like they've mapped out a whole day
Yeah.
of introspection through journaling.
Yeah, that's what I like about this. It's not like, you know, you have to write a novel every day.
Exactly.
These are just like quick little
Yeah,
thought-provoking nudges.
absolutely.
So let's jump into it.
Okay.
Let's unpack these morning reflections.
Okay.
So prompt number 1 is all about gratitude, which is always a classic, right?
Uh-huh.
It says, what are 3 things you're grateful for today, and how do they make your life better? So it's simple, but is it really that powerful?
I think gratitude is definitely a buzzword these days, but
Right.
there's actual science behind the power of gratitude.
Okay.
Studies show that even just taking a few minutes to focus on what we appreciate in our lives can lower stress hormones, it can improve our sleep. It's like hitting a mental reset button for the whole day.
Okay. So I can see how that would make you more productive.
Absolutely.
What about on a tough day, though? Like
Yeah.
if you're having a day where everything feels like it's going wrong,
Sure.
does gratitude still work? Or is it kind of like forcing positivity when you're not really feeling it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's not about denying the negative, but it is about shifting your perspective, even on those really tough days.
Okay.
There's usually something small to be grateful for. Whether it's a warm cup of coffee or a supportive text from a friend, it's really about training your brain to see the good amidst the chaos.
Okay.
And that can be really powerful.
I'm starting to see the potential here.
Yeah.
So prompt number 4 is describe your ideal morning. How can you make today's morning feel closer to it? We're getting into like visualization stuff here.
Totally. By vividly picturing our ideal morning,
Okay.
we're actually priming our minds to make choices that align with that vision.
Okay.
So even if you can't have that hour-long yoga session,
Right.
maybe you can fit in 5 minutes of stretching.
Okay.
It's about those small, intentional steps that bring us closer.
Gotcha. So even if you can't achieve the entire thing,
Right.
just get a little bit closer.
Exactly.
Like that. And there's a quote here that I think relates to that. It says, each morning is a blank page. Use it to write the story of your intentions and goals.
Love that.
I mean, that's kind of what journaling feels like to me.
Yeah.
Like you're creating your own narrative.
Exactly. You're not passive. You have agency in shaping your day. And I think that brings us nicely to those midday insights, which I think are particularly relevant for our listeners
Yes.
who want to maximize their time.
That midday slump,
Oh, yeah.
that can be so rough.
It can.
So prompt number 2 for midday insights is reflect on how you spent your time so far. What can you do to make the rest of the day more productive? So is this like a course correction for your day?
Precisely. It's so easy to get swept away by tasks and to-do lists.
Yeah.
But taking even just a few moments to pause and assess how you're spending your time can be really valuable.
Yeah.
Maybe you realize you're neglecting a priority or that you need to delegate something.
Right.
It's about that mindful check-in that can really make all the difference.
That makes sense. And then for a little positivity boost, prompt number 3 is what is one interaction you've had today that made you smile? Why was it meaningful?
Yeah.
I love that. Like actively seeking out those aha moments
Right.
that our listener loves.
Exactly. It's about consciously noticing the good things that happen throughout the day and training our brains to spot those micro moments of joy.
Okay.
So was it a compliment from a colleague?
Uh-huh.
A random act of kindness from a stranger?
Yeah.
By reflecting on why that interaction was meaningful,
Okay.
we can really start to understand our own happiness better.
So it's like building our own positivity radar.
Totally.
Tuning into those subtle but powerful interactions.
I love that.
So now moving into the evening reflections, the mood seems to shift a little bit here towards gratitude and closure.
You're right. The prompts here encourage a more gentle kind of reflection, wrapping up the day on a more positive note.
I like it.
Yeah.
Prompt number 2 really stood out to me. It says, reflect on a moment today that made you laugh or feel joy. How can you create more moments like this?
Hmm.
It's so easy to let those little sparks get lost in the busyness of the day.
Absolutely. And by intentionally recalling them,
Okay.
we're savoring them. We're making them last longer.
Okay.
And that second part of the prompt, how can you create more moments like this,
Right.
turns reflection into action.
I like that.
Maybe it's about scheduling more time with loved ones or simply noticing the beauty in everyday things.
Turning reflection into action.
Yeah.
That's great. And of course, we can't forget the classic gratitude prompt.
Right.
What is one thing you're grateful for this evening? Why does it stand out to you?
Classic.
So ending the day with gratitude. Is there science behind that too?
Oh, tons. Research shows that gratitude journaling before bed can actually lead to longer, more restful sleep.
Wow.
It reduces anxiety and allows us to really focus on the positive before we drift off to sleep.
So it's like giving your mind a warm bath before bed.
I love that analogy.
Okay, now we get into this self-awareness and growth prompts. And these feel like where things get a little bit deeper,
Yeah, definitely.
more about introspection and personal development.
Exactly. We're moving beyond reflecting on the day's events
Okay.
and into really understanding ourselves better, our patterns and our motivations.
And prompt number 1 seems like a great place to start. What is one habit or mindset you've been working on? How did it show up today? This feels almost like a personal accountability check-in.
It is. It encourages a daily examination of our progress,
Okay.
helping us to identify both our successes and the areas where we might have slipped up.
Okay. So you can see how you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about noticing those subtle patterns that we might otherwise miss.
Right.
Like, oh, I tend to reach for junk food when I'm stressed.
Uh-huh.
And that awareness is the first step to making a change.
So it's not just about tracking the habit.
Right.
It's about understanding the why behind it.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of personal growth, there's a prompt about celebrating yourself. What is one thing you can celebrate about yourself today? How does it boost your confidence?
Oh, I love that one.
I think this could be really powerful.
It can. It's so easy to get caught up in our flaws and what we need to fix.
Right.
But taking the time to acknowledge our strengths and celebrate even small wins can boost our self-esteem and motivation. It's a reminder that we're worthy of praise and recognition, not just from others, but from ourselves.
Yeah, like giving yourself a high five
Exactly.
in your journal.
Love it.
Okay. So finally, we arrive at the looking ahead prompts.
Yeah.
These feel very action-oriented,
Yeah,
about setting intentions for the future.
totally. They're all about harnessing the power of journaling
Okay.
to not just reflect on the past, but to proactively shape our future.
I like that prompt number 7 really speaks to me. It says, write about a new habit or routine you want to build. How can you start small and stay consistent? It's not about making those drastic changes, right?
Right.
It's about those small, sustainable steps.
Exactly. It speaks to the power of small wins and building momentum over time.
So what would be an example of a small step?
Well, it could be as simple as committing to reading for 10 minutes each day.
Okay.
Or adding a short meditation to your routine.
Okay.
The key is to make it achievable and to focus on consistency.
Small steps, big impact.
I love that.
And there's another quote that resonates with that idea. It says, looking ahead gives you the chance to dream and plan. Every new day is an opportunity to grow and thrive.
Beautiful.
It's like a reminder that we're not just reacting to life.
Right.
We're co-creating it.
Exactly. And I think that's what these prompts ultimately encourage us to do, is to use journaling as a tool to become more mindful,
Okay.
more intentional, and more proactive in shaping our lives.
So we've just scratched the surface here
Yeah,
of these 50 everyday journal prompts.
we have.
It's amazing how much depth and insight can be packed into just a few simple questions.
Absolutely.
Before we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you, dear listener.
Yes.
Which of these prompts sparked your interest? What resonated with you the most? Hold on to that thought,
Yeah.
because we'll be right back.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to our deep dive into these 50 everyday journal prompts from Lestallion. It's been fascinating to unpack the psychology behind them.
I know I'm already feeling inspired to grab my journal. But with 50 prompts, it can feel a little overwhelming. Where do you even begin?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's important to remember that You don't have to tackle every prompt every day.
Right.
It's really about finding the ones that resonate with you and your goals.
So it's more like a choose-your-own-adventure journaling experience.
Exactly. Maybe you're focusing on building a new habit, so you gravitate towards those prompts that are about tracking progress. Or maybe you're feeling really stressed, so you lean into the gratitude prompts more.
Okay.
It's about personalizing the practice.
And is it okay to experiment, too? Like maybe try a prompt for a while?
Yeah.
And then switch it up if it's not working for you anymore?
Absolutely. These prompts are really just springboards. They're not rigid rules.
Okay.
You can adapt them, rewrite them, make them your own.
Gotcha.
The key is to make journaling a consistent practice.
Consistency. That's the magic word.
It is.
I'm particularly drawn to the prompts that help us find, like, the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Yes.
Those little moments that we might otherwise miss.
Right, like that evening reflection prompt we talked about.
Yeah.
Where you reflect on a moment that made you laugh or feel joy, and then think about how you can create more moments like that.
It's so easy to let those moments just slip by unnoticed.
It is.
But by intentionally recalling them, we're giving them more weight, more meaning,
Totally.
and then thinking about how to create more of those moments.
Yeah.
That's where the real magic happens.
You're turning reflection into action.
I love that. And that shift in perspective from passive observer to active creator,
Right.
that could be really empowering.
It is.
Like we're taking control of our own happiness, one journal entry at a time.
Yeah. And that midday insights prompt about thinking about an interaction that made you smile, that plays into this too.
It does.
It's about training our brains to seek out and appreciate those small positive interactions, even amidst the chaos.
So it could be a kind word from a stranger.
Yeah.
Or a funny text from a friend.
Totally.
And by reflecting on why it mattered to us, we gain a deeper self-awareness.
Exactly. We start to understand what truly brings us joy.
Yeah.
Those little things that make a big difference.
It's like we're creating a map of our own happiness,
I love that.
pinpointing those moments that light us up.
And the more we do this, the more attuned we become to those positive experiences. It's like a positive feedback loop,
Okay.
building our capacity for joy.
It's amazing how a simple act, like journaling,
Right.
can have this ripple effect
Yeah.
on our thoughts, feelings, even our behavior.
It truly is. The more we engage in intentional reflection, the more we cultivate self-awareness, gratitude, and a greater sense of agency in our lives.
It's like building a mental fitness routine.
I like that.
Strengthening those muscles of positivity, resilience, self-compassion.
Yes.
And just like with physical fitness, consistency is key.
Absolutely. The more we practice, the stronger we become.
So if our listener were to commit to just one journaling habit today,
Yeah.
what would you recommend?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There are so many great prompts to choose from, but I think I would encourage them to start with the one that speaks most to their current needs and goals.
That makes sense.
So if they're struggling with stress,
Uh-huh.
maybe it's a gratitude prompt.
Okay.
If they're feeling lost, maybe it's one about identifying their values.
Right.
Or if they're really excited about the future, maybe it's about setting intentions and visualizing their ideal life.
So many options.
Sure.
The key is to make it a daily ritual. Even if it's just for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
write it in your planner. Set a reminder on your phone. Whatever it takes to make it a non-negotiable part of your day.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to journal. It's your personal journey. It's your safe space to explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment. So embrace the process and trust that the insights will come.
Well said. We've still got a few more prompts to explore, each offering unique insights into different facets of self-awareness and growth. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a quick friends.
Welcome back, deep divers. As we wrap up our deep dive into these 50 everyday journal prompts from Lestallion, I'm struck by how these seemingly simple questions can really unlock so much self-awareness.
Yeah, what's so fascinating is how they act as mirrors, right?
Yeah.
Reflecting back our thoughts and feelings and behaviors in a way that we might not see otherwise.
It's like holding up a magnifying glass to our inner world, revealing those intricate details and patterns we might otherwise miss.
Exactly. And that deeper understanding is really where I think real growth begins.
Yeah. And speaking of growth, I keep thinking back to that prompt about celebrating yourself.
Yeah.
Sort of powerful reminder to acknowledge our strength and appreciate our own unique awesomeness. It's so easy to get caught up in that self-criticism loop.
Right.
Where we're constantly focusing on what we need to improve and fix.
Yeah.
But taking time to celebrate even our small wins can be such a game changer for our confidence and motivation.
It's about shifting from that deficit mindset to one of abundance.
Yes.
Recognizing that we are enough just as we are.
I love that.
And that inner confidence can then ripple outwards
Yeah.
and influence how we interact with the world.
Absolutely.
And speaking of shaping our interactions with the world, those looking ahead prompts
Oh.
really spoke to me.
Yeah.
They're all about taking those insights we've gained and turning them into action.
Totally. Like that prompt about building a new habit,
Right.
it really emphasizes the power of small, consistent steps,
Yeah.
breaking down those big goals into manageable chunks.
It's about focusing on progress over perfection,
Exactly.
celebrating those tiny wins along the way.
Yes. And there's a fantastic quote from the blog post that captures this perfectly. It says, "Looking ahead gives you the chance to dream and plan. Every new day is an opportunity to grow and thrive."
That's beautiful. I love that. It's so hopeful and empowering.
It is.
It reminds us that we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives.
Right.
We have the power to actively shape our future.
Uh-huh.
One intention, one action, one journal entry at a time.
And those journal entries over time create this remarkable record of our journey.
Right.
It becomes like a tapestry woven with all of our insights and reflections and aspirations.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool
It
for
is.
self-discovery and growth.
I agree.
It's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for our future selves. Marking those moments of clarity, those breakthroughs, those turning points that shaped who we are.
Exactly. And as we revisit those entries, we gain an even deeper understanding of our patterns and our motivations and how we've evolved over time.
It's a priceless gift
It is.
to give ourselves.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into journaling, I want to leave our listener with a challenge. What one prompt will you try out tonight? Which question will you use to spark some insightful self-reflection? Pick one that speaks to you, grab your journal, and let the words flow.
Don't overthink it. Just start writing and see where your thoughts take you. You might be surprised by what you discover.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The beauty of journaling is that it's an ongoing journey, a lifelong exploration of self-discovery.
Beautiful.
So keep diving deep, keep reflecting, and keep growing. Until next time, happy journaling.